Hello and welcome. As you can tell by the title, I'm the obsessed movie man, O.M.M, and welcome to the second and final part of A Very Landis Halloween. A pretty short Halloween special, I know. So let's close it out with a pretty short movie written by Max Landis, Victor Frankenstein. Now there have been many adaptations of Frankenstein over the years, some good and a lot bad. But the most common thing about them is that they usually tend to focus on the monster rather than the man whose name is in the title. The Hammer films always focused on the man, Victor Frankenstein, which helped make actor Peter Cushing a horror star. Other filmmakers became inspired by Hammer, such as Tim Burton, and it seems that Max Landis was as well when he made this very over-the-top Frankenstein film. When this film came out, critics trashed it. It seemed that it was a dud. Maybe that's because it was marketed wrong. In the US, it looked like it was being marketed as a straight-up horror film with very, very small hints at comedy, which is not an accurate representation. The movie, like An American Werewolf in London, is more of a horror comedy. But before we dissect this film further, let's look at the story. A supposed hunchback named Igor lives in the circus as a freak, but he dreams of being a doctor. One night, the woman he loves falls during her trapeze act and is in serious need of a doctor. Enter Victor Frankenstein, who just so happens to be in the audience, and with the help of Igor, they save the woman. Impressed with Igor, Frankenstein frees him from the circus and takes him under his wing to not only be a doctor, but also help him with his unusual experiments. What experiments? Nothing major, just bringing corpses back to life. The first thing that's easily noticeable right off the bat is that the casting of our two main leads is perfect. Daniel Radcliffe as Igor and James McAvoy as Victor Frankenstein are a match made in hell. They play off each other excellently, with Radcliffe's generally calm demeanor and McAvoy's raving lunacy. Igor is very sympathetic, as he never knew he was going to be picked up by a crazy person who he now feels he owes. Frankenstein, on the other hand, is out of his damn mind and is so overdramatic that it's both fascinating and entertaining to watch. The color scheme of the film is a good choice. The film looks very grimy, usually with a yellow or blue tint. But this choice also leads to an observation that the film looks and feels very similar to the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films. The color choices are similar, as well as the slow motion sequences added for no apparent reason other than to look cool. Even the use of the comedy feels a bit similar. Frankenstein is kind of like Sherlock and Igor is kind of like Watson. While I did notice this, the character interactions and story did make up for it. In all honesty, I preferred the friendship between Frankenstein and Igor in this film to Sherlock and Watson in the Guy Ritchie films. The sets are fun to look at, such as Victor's lab and the castle at the end, which highlights some similarities to the Hammer films, which also include a spoiled rich villain, the central focus on the scientist, and the extreme deviation from the source material. One more thing I have to mention is that Andrew Scott as the Inspector is incredible. He plays Moriarty on Sherlock and now plays a good guy in this film, similar to Sherlock, but still just as nuts. The character is a heavily religious man, which is a great contrast to Frankenstein, but this Inspector is so obsessive over Frankenstein that you almost start rooting for him. The lengths he goes to are so impressive that even Javert and Captain Ahab would tell this guy to calm down. It could very well be a callback to Inspector Krogh from Son of Frankenstein, but I'm not too sure. What I am sure about is that Andrew Scott is marvelous in this role. I won't act like Victor Frankenstein is a perfect film, it's very far from that, but I will say that it's very entertaining and brings back a lot of the feelings of old school Hammer films. You can easily tell that everyone involved was having a fun time making it, with outlandish set pieces, over-the-top characters, and an energetic script. It's certainly better than I, Frankenstein, that's for sure. So if you're in the mood for a different take on the Frankenstein story and are also looking for something that will make you smile, put on Victor Frankenstein. It's sure to spark up your movie-going experience. And that's it! I hope you've all enjoyed A Very Landis Halloween. I know this year didn't end with some kind of weird event happening to me, but hey, at least we got to end this Halloween on a Frankenstein movie.
Did someone say Frankenstein?
Oh, Jesus.
No, it is I, Count Vigorstein, and I wish to review a Frankenstein movie.
Well, take your pick, pal. There's plenty of them out there. Which one's it gonna be?